Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Middle East Peace Run podcast with Pat Farmer, episode number 1. I'm Susan Paget, and I have the great privilege of being able to join Pat Farmer to bring you these podcasts and to share what is going on in his head and on the road as he clocks in about 2 marathons a day, making his way through the Middle East in an effort to just spread peace.
With sport, there is no hidden agendas. You just get out there, try and do the best you possibly can. And all I'm asking people to do in this event is just walk or run a few miles with me, spend some time with me on this journey, and together we'll show the world leaders that we're up for a peaceful outcome.
The holy city of Jerusalem under fire. Images like these coming in from Israel all day.
Every day they arrive in their hundreds at the gates of the High Commissioner for Refugees.
Peace is something of a stranger to the people of the Middle East. The last century of their history has been characterized by violence. The region is home to the nations we now call Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, Israel, and Palestine. The borders of these countries have existed for less than 100 years and remain fractured to this day. Much of the fighting has revolved around the ancient city of Jerusalem, a place considered holy by Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike for millennia. As Hitler's Third Reich hunted down and slaughtered the Jews of Europe, calls for a Zionist state became deafening, and the Palestinian natives feared losing their own homes. Nearly 70 years later, their conflict rages on. The Middle East has also been a stage for the Armenian genocide, the massacre of the Kurdish civilians by Saddam Hussein, the 1982 Lebanese War, and 2 Gulf Wars across Iraq and Afghanistan. It's into this environment that we set off on our most dangerous and ambitious journey yet. My history with Australian politicians really helped me to raise some support for my endeavours even before we left home soil. It's vital that our message of peace strikes a chord with our leaders at home. Why would an ultramarathon runner, an ex-politician, why would an ordinary boy from Western Sydney want to take on a journey such as this? Well, it's quite simply this. I don't want to sit on my hands and talk about peace. I want to actually do something about it. I simply link people together with my footsteps. Over the course of my life to this point, I've been running long distance for 32 years. I'll continue to run as long as I possibly can, or until I find a better way to be able to have a voice or to be a conduit for other people, to be able to link people together and to be able to make a difference to their lives.
It is an extraordinary thing that you are attempting to achieve. It is such a worthwhile goal. Most of us know people from Lebanon, from Israel, from Jordan, from Palestine, so much in common. And I guess what you are trying to do is to have us focus more on our common humanity, because if we can focus on the things that unite us, we may well spend less time dwelling on the things that divide us.
So here's the plan. To promote peace in the Middle East, I'm going to cross the borders of Lebanon into Jordan, through Israel and into Palestine on foot. And I'm going to do it all in just 20 days. Tanya, how are you viewing the departure?
Yeah, I've seen all the behind-the-scenes stress and workload that goes on, but I'm very excited, and I feel pretty confident that Patrick and Brooke and Katie and the crew aren't going to be facing anything particularly dangerous while they're there.
About 27 hours of travel time, we are finally in Beirut, Lebanon. It's absolute pinch yourself kind of stuck because none of us on the Pat Farmer crew have been here before?
I believe the cause is beyond my own safety. The cause is more about getting a very positive message out there to people worldwide. Well, I'm part of the United Nations organisation called Sport for Peace and Development, and I'm an ambassador for that as well. Sport is a great catalyst for peace because it brings people together on the playing fields from all different countries. They are absorbed in the moment of the sport, and they leave their baggage behind as to which countries they come from, how old they are, what gender they are, what religion they are, and they just get on with the game.
How are you? What?
Each journey has its own challenges, so I've run further before over a bigger amount of days, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow's going to be an easy day for me or any of the days after that. They all have their own challenges, and this will be an incredibly tough event for me. Here we are in the Cedars of Lebanon, and I just feel so privileged to be here. You know, it was only 48 hours ago I was sitting in my kitchen looking at maps, dreaming about this run and whether we can actually make it happen or not. It was only another 8 hours before that we were panicking because we didn't have our visas for Lebanon. So this is amazing to actually be here now and to be actually making it happen. And it's what I've been saying all along. If you really want to do something with all your heart, you can and you will find a way. And here we are.
It's a beautiful country, and of course I love it. I've been here for some years, and it's got strong connections with Australia, and clearly that's a lot of what's behind what Pat's decided to do here.
Yeah, we just caught up with everybody. A lot of these people have family back in Australia, so we've just been talking about their families back home in Sydney, and I'm about to start the run. We're doing some selfies, some Facebook, all sorts of stuff at the moment. So the guys are going to get the message out there about peace around the world.
Hello from Lebanon.
In Arabic, it's
Say it in Arabic.
Yeah, please.
Go.
نحن عن جد يعني إذا بنطلع نطفي على حياتنا، نطلع على الطبيعة اللي حوالينا، قديش هالحضارة أخذتنا، قديش شدتنا، لوين وصلتنا، نزلتنا نزول. يعني يا ريت بنقدر بنرجع شوي بالزمن لورا، يعني هالسيارات والتيارات والتليفون والى اخره، بطل في عنا هالاهتمامات، نرجع نهتم بطبيعتنا، نرجع نهتم بقلبنا، نهتم بطبيعتنا اللي هي من ذات الله اصلا.
So this is my first day here in Lebanon. Already I'm struck by the absolute beauty of this place of biblical proportions. The highest point in the Middle East. You know, the scene is just absolutely spectacular, and the warmth from the people. Once again, I'm continuously stopped on the side of the road and welcomed by the people here of Lebanon.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello, darling. Hello, darling.
Hi, I'm Joseph from Batroun. Last night I saw the minister running for peace in Lebanon, so I was excited to run with him. So today in the morning I saw him near my house, so I go with him. Now we run, and it's fun, and I enjoy.
When you're on foot, it's impossible not to be spellbound by the beauty of this corner of the earth. And our own history here is not so distant. Well, I'm sitting here on the bridge at the moment, taking a very quick 3-minute break or 5-minute break. And the reason why I'm sitting on this bridge is because just behind me is a railway bridge that was built by the Australian Army in the Second World War. It goes all the way from Tripoli right down south of Beirut, right down to near the border there. And if you look closely on the side of the bridge, you can just see the sign of the rising sun, which was the emblem for the Australian Army. Still is. My legs are a little bit sore and tired, but that's only natural when you're doing this sort of mileage. You just got to get used to the dull, dead pain in your legs and just deal with it and push on. But today I finish in one of the oldest, well, the oldest city in the world, Byblos.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I'm the Vice President of the municipality.
I feel very honoured to be here. I'm very pleased
We are
to meet
honored
you.
to receive you.
The oldest city in the world.
It's the oldest city continuously inhabited in the whole world since 7,000 or 8,000 years. Okay, and the Phoenicians were the people who did give the humanity the most precious fortune, which is the alphabet, the Phoenician alphabet. Okay. And they were peaceful people. This is why we are welcoming you, and as you have seen, the city is very peaceful.
Yes.
And we like peace, we don't like war.
Yes.
And we say that without peace we cannot build the world. So welcome, and we thank you for this effort.
Peace, sadly, is something that's eluded Lebanon and the people of Lebanon for decades, perhaps for much, much longer. The civil war really decimated this country, and within the early 2000s, the country started to rebuild itself. And you see many signs of that rebuilding, and of course it's still going on today. But Lebanon, sadly, also suffers for what happens in the region around it. Now with the you'd have to call it a civil war, the war that's going on in Syria, that's having an enormous impact on Lebanon in many ways. Not only are there more than 1 million Syrian refugees in a country of just over 4 million, would be equivalent of like between 6 and 7 million refugees turning up on the shores of Australia, or 85 million turning up in the United States. This country is suffering. It's almost at a collapsing point.
I'm a Lebanese Australian. I've been here in Lebanon for about 3 years now. I came here 3 years ago to continue my studies in radio, TV and in communications. And just recently I won the competition Dancing with the Stars for the Middle East. I'm working here as a TV presenter. I do miss Australia a lot. I don't know when I'm going to go back. I'm kind of busy here. And I'm really happy that Patrick is here supporting peace in the Middle East. It's a great thing that he's doing. You know, this is something, as I was saying before, it's something that really hurts me. When I came here, I was really affected by the conflict that we see here in our everyday lives. And among us, among the people in the region, it's different. We want peace, we love each other, we don't want any conflict. So I think this is what Patrick's trying to aim for today through his run, and we're supporting him.
Yeah, he's good. It's my honor to run next to Patrick. Sports is my life. I am technically impressed of what Patrick is doing, changing the landscape of any mindset when it comes to political views, wars. It's easier to gather people around sports, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's like heaven. Waking up in the morning, running next to Patrick.
Just like my runs through many countries of the world, it's the people I meet on the ground that remain the most affecting part of the journey. Their enthusiasm and generosity of spirit fills me with hope. These guys are great, you know, it's such an honour to be able to run with these two guys in their homeland. I feel very privileged, and it's been a great run this morning. And
You're the most welcome in the country of cedars all the time.
You're the great one.
Initially, when Pat sent me an email saying he wanted to do this run, I felt nothing but dread, I have to say, you know, and because it's a wonderful country. Right now, today, it's safe, it's fine. I'd be happy for anybody to come and go to almost all parts of the country, certainly not all the country, but I was worried about Pat's safety, you know, and we discussed which parts of the country he could go to, which parts he was not safe to go to. Traffic is absolute chaos. You know, Pat said to me last week in an email, well, if I can't run on the roads, I'll run on the footpaths, I'll run on the paddocks. And now he knows there are no paddocks and there are no footpaths. Tomorrow I know he's going on to Jordan to try and take another very important run. It'll be totally different from Lebanon, but I'm sure he'll be welcomed equally as strongly and warmly as he was here.
Well, earlier on this morning I left from Beirut. We jumped on a plane, myself together with my crew, jumped on a plane and we've headed across now here to Jordan. The reason why we got on a plane for that section of the journey rather than run through to Amman is because of the Syria crisis. There are literally millions of refugees pouring over the borders and putting a great strain on immigration and resources in Lebanon and in Jordan, of course. The plight of the refugees remains firmly in my mind as I continue my run, and some of my team decide to pay a visit on my behalf to some amazing Aussies doing incredible things for people in need on the Jordanian border.
Right now we've got a big mission in front of us in terms of supporting the Syrian crisis here in Jordan. And so our program, what we call life-saving activities on a day-to-day basis. That's the water supply, solid waste management, the sanitation, hygiene promotion to prevent any sort of disease and outbreak coming on. We deal with mobilising and engaging with the community to have a really close relationship. We do food distributions and a whole range of these sort of things where we're just trying to have big impact quite quickly. But then on top of that, we've also got these sort of longer term programs where we're rehabilitating water supply systems. We're building a water supply network here in Jordan with some of the other partners, and we're trying to support the Jordanian government and the communities to host the refugees. These Syrian refugees that are coming into Jordan are seeking safe haven. They've had a terrible time. It's really dangerous actually to cross and get into Jordan, to going through checkpoints and military war zones actually they're crossing through. They've sold everything they own, they've left their properties, they've left other parts of their families who can't afford it. They're putting themselves into debt, the equivalent of 3 months worth of an income back home. So they're coming here with nothing and actually a lot of debt, having a trip that takes months to get here to seek refuge. So when we see the refugees coming into Jordan, they're malnourished, they've got health issues, they've got the trauma that they've been through has psychological impacts, and this is what we have to deal with, a population, a group of people that have just lived through something that you wouldn't wish upon anybody. It's really tough. I mean, again, these kids have gone through so much. It's hard for them to adjust to a situation in a refugee camp. While they're safe here, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a great lifestyle that you've got. And that's always the trade-off with these families. You want to be safe, but at the same time, you also want to have a life.
What do you wish for?
شو بتتمنى؟ شو أمنيتك؟
نروح على سوريا.
To go back to Syria.
Great. And how is your life? How is your life here?
كيف الحياة هون في المخيم؟
الحمد لله.
It's okay.
Cool.
Do you go to school?
تروح للمدرسة؟
لا.
No.
What do you want to be if you could be anything when you grow up, when you're older? What do you want to be?
شو حابب تصير لما تكبر؟
دكتور.
You want to be a doctor.
I wish you all the best to be a doctor.
لك الحظ الطيب إن شاء الله إنك تصير دكتور.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm the humanitarian officer at the Australian Embassy in Jordan. My role is to work representing the government's involvement in the refugee response here in Jordan, where we've got 600,000 refugees who've fled Syria in the last 3 years. So far, the Australian government has committed $130 million to the response here. Some of that goes inside Syria, and some of that's contributed through the region. Our projects largely go through the UN. There's a coordinated response here because there's so many different actors. That's a really important element. And recently across my desk came a brief that Pat Farmer was coming to town. So I had to Google this amazing man, and turns out he's an ambassador for the Red Cross. He's raised a lot of awareness and a lot of money with his long distance running for charities and causes. And his ethos is one step in front of the other to work for peace and spread the message that if one man can run, you know, we've all got the power to make a difference and make change. I'm really grateful that we've got the opportunity to come up to Zatri with ACTED, which is one of the NGOs here, and see some of the really significant issues that are happening here in Jordan and people's lives. Do you guys want to say hello? You can come on the camera? Yeah. So marhaba. Marhaba. This is a day at the office.
It's always tough to see kids growing up in such a tense and dangerous environment, but they just keep on smiling regardless. This is the next generation of Middle Eastern citizens, and we need to ensure that they grow up into a country free from fear. The refugees and aid workers never left my mind, despite having to focus on navigating treacherous gorges and crossing mountain ranges thousands of metres high. It occurs to me as I travel that the hospitality and generosity on display is embedded in so many Middle Eastern cultures.
I love the idea of the Bedouins. The Bedouin people, you know, how their philosophy is that if anybody comes into your camp, you feed them and you look after them, you ask no questions, because they see you as a gift from God to give them company, and they just have a beautiful outlook on life. They're nomadic. They just travel around everywhere, so they don't own anything, but they give anything that they have.
Hello.
Hey. Oh.
While it's true the conflict has scarred this place, there are some truly incredible sights to see, and few compared to the World Heritage listed city of Petra.
Welcome to Petra. It's a great honor for us to be with people who run for peace. So we are in Petra city right now, and this city is a huge site, and this city inhabited by man 10,000 years ago. And many archaeologists, they come to see this because this Neolithic site is still standing in a very good shape.
This is the arrival to here. All closed.
It's okay. Is it from there? It's closed because look the clothing. It's closed, yeah.
The big trouble that we have here is that not only has the road been closed off because of the mudslide overnight and the torrential rain that they had here overnight, which was completely out of the blue. My biggest fear is while we're waiting for the commander of police to come up and give us the okay to go on another road or somewhere else, that if it rains anymore, those roads might be restricted as well. The frustrating thing is that me on foot, I can just throw a couple of bottles of water in the back of my belt and just get on with it and meet these guys 20, 30k down the road, no trouble at all. But because, as they mentioned, I'm some sort of a VIP over here, we have to follow the rules and we can't go anywhere without police escort. What if I take the drinks and I get through?
It's okay, but my department,
no.
Never, because it's VIP.
Yeah.
Yes.
The weather holds, and eventually we're given the all clear to keep running. But in the desert, the weather is never a guarantee.
I'm a bit worried about Tanya coming in on the flight. You know, she got held up already. They had to land in Omar because there was too much turbulence with the plane. So I'm a bit worried about her.
I try to push through the rain, but suddenly the temperature plummets and the wind chill factor bites down hard.
Okay. Oh, it's freezing. My hands are frozen. It's just complete extremes on the mountains. It just goes to show you how fast this area can change. And I never would have believed.
I don't leave things unfinished. I take some time to warm myself, and I take up and I put one foot in front of the other.
This is something very strange to me, my friend. I have never seen a person doing this in my life.
As suddenly as the rains came down, they were gone. But this day isn't finished with me yet.
Strong dust storm just come through the valley here. A lot of sand. It's like being sandblasted inside of my body and my face, and it's getting in my eyes. So I decided to put something over my nose and mouth, try and keep the sand out of my mouth. I can still taste sand in there and the grit on my teeth. You know, you haven't got to travel very far before you get a complete change of scenery and indeed a complete change of environment.
Today is day 9 of Pat's incredible and inspirational run across the Middle East. Today was Pat's last day in Jordan, and I got the opportunity to meet him at around the 20K mark for a little bit of a chat.
We leave Jordan behind today and we go into another country. In my mind, I feel happy to be able to be getting another leg of this journey done, but I'm driven, I'm absolutely driven, and I'm driven by something within me that I can't explain. I don't know what it is, but it's a sense of purpose, and I just can't stop until the job's done. I have nothing but good feeling towards the people in Jordan and wonderful memories from the people here.
يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط.
We met Pat Farmer.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think of Pat?
Pat very good man, and Pat, my God, with you.
Your God is with Pat?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. We are gathered here this morning for the beginning of the Israeli part of the Running for Peace in the Middle East by the legendary ultra-marathon runner Pat Farmer.
Regardless of religious or cultural alliances, people everywhere are supportive of our cause.
Now, when I first thought of this idea of Middle East Peace Run, crazy idea. I mean, to get the Lebanese and the Jordanians and the Palestinians all and the Israelis all agreeing they want to support the idea of Pat coming. Now, what do they have in common? They have a bloody terrible image of the Middle East, and everybody wants to change that. So, by Pat coming here, everybody's working together to show a good image of the Middle East, because there are a lot of good things here, a lot of good people, a lot of good areas to visit. And they're working together for the first time, really, to try and change the image, because the only image you see, it's about war, it's about violence, it's about hatred. And here we are, the people, running, walking, sticking their hands up, saying, we want peace, we want it now. So listen to us, get the process going.
It's a really great experience so far, one of the best experiences of my life, most definitely. I don't think there's any question about that. It's really great to finally be able to see what Patrick's doing now. This is the first time I've been able to watch him do what he does best, and once again, it's an amazing experience for me to do so.
You know, a lot of people are asking about, do we think that this is really going to do anything for peace? Well, people are talking about it. So there's the beginnings of it.
So Pat has taught me that I can do more than I thought, but he also taught me about the power of individuals, and that individuals make the difference. And the same way that he's pushing himself, we really got to push ourselves and not give up, and maintain the hope and empower individuals in Israel and in the Palestinian territories to achieve peace.
Just seeing all these fighter jets flying overhead and all the rest of it, it's just, this is not an ordinary run. This is not even about the run. This is not even about running. It's something more than that, it's something different. All day long we've had fighter jets flying over the top of our heads. When I was a boy or years ago, I would be excited to see those things. But now, in particular with this run, where all I've thought about is this whole peace process, it scares me, and it scares me, and I just took my daughter Brooke aside then and had a chat to her about getting in touch with my son Dylan, because, as a parent, we all just want our kids to grow up in peace and have opportunities to be able to live in peace and to be able to be the best they possibly can be and have the best life they possibly can, without fear of a war outbreak or without fear of the unknown. And I just feel for all the people of Israel. I feel for all the people of Lebanon. I feel for the people in Jordan and Palestine as well.
Okay, so we're in Sderot right now, which is the closest village or town to the Gaza Strip. So this is really the front line. And here you can see all these missiles here. Some have actually got even written in Farsi, which is of course in Iranian. So this has all been smuggled somehow from Iran through the tunnels to Gaza, and from the Gaza Strip being shot out from the terrorist organisations in Gaza. Now when you look at it, think about it. It takes exactly 1 whole minute, okay, from the terrorist to shoot the missile into Sderot. Now basically our defence system takes 45 seconds to work. So in other words, anybody here has 15 seconds to find some place for protection. The second thing is, and probably more important, is the trauma. Let's say, for example, a kid is traumatized. So they go to a psychologist here or a counselor here. They have a meeting. Immediately after that, there's another siren that goes off and another one. So it's consistent traumatization.
אני גרה פה מאז שנולדתי. החיים הם מפחידים, במיוחד בשדרות. משפיע על חיי היום-יום שלך, אם זה לצאת בחוץ, ואם זה לא לחגור חגורה באוטו. שאם יהיה צבע אדום אז תוכל מהר לרוץ לתוך מיגונית. זה דברים שמאוד מפחידים ומסוכנים מצד אחד, אבל אין מה לעשות, זה כאילו אנחנו חיים בתוך זה. או להתקלח, מבקשו ליווי לכל מקום שתלך. זה מבקש, במיוחד בתקופה הקשה של הקסאמים, שזה ברצף. אפשר לספור, זה בלי סוף, זה כאילו מלא אתה לא סופר, מרוב שזה הרבה. הגן של השביעים הזה יחסית ממוגן, אז לפעמים קרה והיה פה צבע אדום, אז אתה בורח לתוך המיגוניות שבנו פה. אתה חי בסביבה של מלא מיגוניות. כל מקום יש צבע אדום, הוסיפו מיגונית, בנו, שתוכל לאן לברוח, שיהיה לך לאן לברוח, במקרה ושיהיה צבע אדום. שיהיה לך איפה להתחבא. שלום בשבילי זה לחיות בשקט. כאילו, מקום שתוכל לחיות, הארץ שלך. אתה תרגיש בטוח, שלא תפחד לצאת כל שנייה החוצה מהבית בגלל קסאם. תוכל לצאת ותהיה חופשי. תוכל לטייל בכל מקום בלי פחד שמלווה או פיגוע בכל מקום שקורה במקומות.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد.
השלום הוא בתוך הבן אדם. אנחנו בני אדם, וכל בן אדם מסתכל לאדם אחר כאילו שזה הוא. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, איך שאומרים. אני אומר שנשפך דם רב, הן מהיהודים והן מהערבים, בגלל המלחמות. וסתם המלחמות לא הועילו. ישראל קיימת, ומדינות ערב קיימות. אנחנו חייבים לשכוח את כל מה שהיה, ולהתחיל דרך חדשה. כל בן אדם צריך לכבד את האדם, לא לפי הצבע שלו ולא לפי השפה שלו. חייבים לראות בבני האדם, כולם ביחד כבני אדם, לכבד אותם, לשכוח מהדם שנשפך, לשכוח מהמלחמות, ולהתחיל דרך חדשה של שלום ותקווה למען כל העמים. זו העצה שלי לכל אדם כלשהו, יהודי או מוסלמי או נוצרי.
Here at this place was probably one of the greatest Australian stories of all times. Right here, the Turkish bastion of Beersheba had to be conquered. Here, this is where the water supply was. Here, all the Allied forces, the British, the Anzacs, were here to completely open the gates so that the Middle East would become finally rid of the Ottoman German Empire. Many people come here from overseas and pay respects here. The caretaker of the place, his name is Mahmoud, he's from a Bedouin tribe. He's 25 years taking care of this cemetery.
عبودة محزكة تبع عبودة كل عبودة هنا كسيكانتم فيه.
Tell him it's a beautiful job.
זה מקום מקסים מה שאתה עושה, פשוט כל הכבוד. You've done a wonderful job.
We run out from the desert into Haifa, the largest city in northern Israel. While the look of this beautiful harbour city reminds me a little of Australia, it's the welcome I receive that makes me feel as if I'm home. We're having a homestay, and this is our accommodation for the night. The people who own this house have decided to move out and give us the opportunity to live here and stay here for the night, and they've cooked us dinner and everything, so the hospitality is absolutely unbelievable, and they appreciate what we're trying to do with this run.
Well, look, I'm the Australian ambassador here in Israel. Pat Farmer is an iconic and famous Australian. He's running through Israel, so I couldn't resist the opportunity to join him and do my share of his Middle East peace run with him. Yeah, look, I think that's what Pat's message is at heart. I think that people should focus on the things they have in common, things where they share common interests and views, and a lot of the doing exercise together, running together, all those sorts of things break down barriers, they break down intolerance, and they help foster the kind of mutual understanding that's necessary for any sort of peace effort.
The hands are from Australia, and a bunch of Israelis and Australians, we took the idea and decided that it would be perfect for trying to seek a reconciliation between Israelis and the Palestinians. If every one of us says we want peace, we'll have peace in the end.
Mattei is 7 years old, and he's been running with me this morning, about 15, 16 kilometres. The best part of the journey this morning, he's run every single step of the way with me. Not only has he done that, but many times when we've come to the sides of the roads, when the traffic's been coming around the corner, he's grabbed my hand and made sure that I stayed on the footpath so I didn't get run over by a car.
So we're just coming across from the Israeli border to the Palestinian Authority. Dad swamped by media. There's about 20 people here with cameras.
And we are very happy for your visiting to Jenin.
I am very happy to be in Palestine. It's another adventure for us, part 4 to the journey.
It's wonderful. Yes, sport makes me feel free and happy.
I just got the statistics of how many likes on our Facebook. We're looking at like 80% of all the likes come from Palestinians. Now, what type of outcome is that? That is something.
Yeah, this is Tom Wilson. Tom's the Australian ambassador to Palestine, and we've just been having a chat about all sorts of things going on, including even where one of our biggest support bases is for this run, and that's from Gaza. So Tom's a bit of an athlete himself. He's from Outback Australia. He's no stranger to the weather, and he's a champion on the foot and a pair of shoes as well. So
when I heard Pat was coming through, I thought he was a madman, but I tell you, it just goes to show what you can do with a bit of guts and determination. And I'm so proud to be part of it. I'm so proud that it's an Australian that's doing it. I run through Israel and the West Bank, it's incredible. As an Australian, everyone being able to get along together and live peacefully, live without conflict, and I think I'd love to see that kind of thing happening here. To be absolutely frank, this heel's killing me.
History feels alive and present here around every turn. On our journey, we're fortunate enough to pass through one of the oldest cities in Palestine, Nablus. This is a very, very rich area, rich in culture, rich in history. It is a place that could be a powerhouse for the rest of the world and a shining example for the rest of the world.
You people good, nice. You Australian people good, very good, yes.
All Arabs here, especially Palestinian, love Australian people as one nation. As Muslims or Christians, we are all one.
Where communities live together in peace, let those places be an example to the rest of their countries to come together under the guise of peace. And please, I pray to the Pope, please pray to our Heavenly Father for peace on earth. Today we leave Palestine and head back on into Israel. And as I move closer and closer to the wall that separates the West Bank from the east of Jerusalem, I look around and see, how different everything is here as opposed to the rest of the country. We're moving closer to a checkpoint at this point in time. Well, we're just here at West Bank. We're about ready to cross on into the border here, and as you can see beside me, here's this huge concrete wall that divides West Jerusalem from East Jerusalem, basically Palestinians from Israelis, but also divides many Palestinians from their families. As I ran from Palestine into Israel this morning, I noticed that there is a shadow cast by the wall on Israel in the morning, and it casts a shadow on Palestine in the afternoon, which only indicates to me that there is nothing right with that wall.
When you see a guy like this that is running all this way on the sun and he's suffering to raise awareness, and when you look at what's happening in our neighborhood, you see what's happening in Syria and in Lebanon, and people get killed every day and suffering, and even in Israel, people suffer. But sometimes we mix between ceasefire and peace. Ceasefire is a very good thing. On the process to get to peace, we have to pass by ceasefire. But ceasefire is not peace. Ceasefire is just something that we understand that we got tired of fighting, and we say, let's stop it. But with time and different interests, things change and the war comes back. True peace is only when we understand the true purpose of our coming to this world.
This place is a very important place, not just to the Jewish people, to all mankind. It's a special place to come pray. Now, part of prayer in a Jewish sense is not just about asking for health and happiness, which is all important. It's also about saying thank you.
I have much to be grateful for on this journey, and more than that, I have tremendous hope. As the finish line looms, it seems to me that the higher purpose of this run is pushing for a process that will lead to a lasting peace.
We talk about challenges. What Pat Farmer just did, 1,500 kilometers from the north of Lebanon, through Jordan, up Israel, through the West Bank, and just finished now, that's amazing.
Whenever good men come together under the veil of peace, there is hope in the world. But without hope, there is nothing. And I would like to think if Danny and I did nothing more from this journey than give the people of the Middle East hope, then we've done a good job. We just want their children to have an opportunity to be able to grow up and to be able to have the chance to be able to be free and to realise their potential. And so I tried to link together these territories with my single footsteps, using running as a thread. And I would like to think that as a humble means of being able to do that, what I've been able to say to everybody more than anything else is that ordinary people, not necessarily the parliamentarians or the decision makers, but ordinary people on the ground want peace. So what I wish to say to each and every one of you here today, just like my running has been an analogy, never ever to give up, I want to say to you, the Israeli people, as I've said to the Palestinian people, and I've said to the Lebanese people, and I've said to the Jordanian people, please, 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 don't give up on this peace process. The things that unite us are far greater than the things that divide us. We're all human beings. We all share this planet, and we all need to do our absolute best. And we need to stop talking about peace and start showing our actions for peace. And if that means running, then that be it. And if it means caring for our fellow neighbours, then that be it. So please, make the efforts and know and understand that the people of Australia are with you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind support. I was running through Jordan. I saw these people and they were yelling out to me. So I ran across the road to see them. And this guy in a wheelchair just put his arms around me and gave me a big cuddle and thanked me for running through his country, and it was just so moving. His name was Joseph, and he worked in the sheltered workshop, and the sheltered workshop was for people to do mosaics. But one of the things about it was I noticed that Joseph was in this wheelchair that had broken wheels on it, and it was very old, and it was bent and busted, and it was difficult for him to get around in it. And we got to talking about different things, and he mentioned that he was trying to get some money to buy a wheelchair. My daughter Brooke just started crying and she had to walk away. We moved on into Israel. I spoke with a number of Israeli people and I told them about the story of Joseph. They got together, raised some money, and bought a wheelchair and presented it to me here tonight. So with one day left to go on this journey before we fly home to Sydney, we've now got a wheelchair to take back to Joseph. It's pretty tremendous, and like I said about this whole journey, you know, we've changed people's lives just one step at a time, and we have made a difference. It was definitely worthwhile us being here. Joseph, you said you needed a new wheelchair. This is for you.
ومش انا اشكر على الاحساس الرائع منه.